I'm Stacey Lindis from Podcast PD, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Bryon Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood, to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at FreshAirAtFive or check out my website, BryonCarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey PLN, it's April 12th, 2021, and hopefully the wind isn't too noisy here as I'm recording the opening of episode 16 of Fresh Air at 5, the podcast that'll drop in a week and a half from now on the Friday night. So take a listen to that, see my thoughts all stacked up together from my Twitter daily selfie videos. All right, so this afternoon I am out for Fresh Air at 5, which typically happens early in the morning. And this morning I woke up spent. My goodness, what a full week and 3 weeks it has been that I wake up on Monday morning tired from what's happened before. And this afternoon on Instagram TV, Tim Cavey and I got together and I shared with him about how full it has been since spring break, since we've been back. I'm fortunate to have spring break. Thankful that I've had spring break. Thankful for the four-day Easter weekend that we had a week after spring break was done. And now we're back and getting back into the regular. The problem is, in my online space, my students don't stop. They don't stop working. They keep on working and submitting, and some even expect a quick 1 day, 1 hour turnaround, which is not acceptable and hard to do. So today, as I'm walking for Fresh Air at 5, I'm listening to the tail end of a conversation that I started yesterday as Shay and Pav brought up the conversation about reciprocity and what is it, and are we taking care of it in our spaces. By basic definition that I've got out of this is that reciprocity is your act of giving of yourself, your time, your energy, maybe your resources, probably your resources, but not necessarily your money, into someone else, and then them turning around and giving back. But do I give so I can receive? That's one reason why people give. Do I do this so that I can get something out of it? Sometimes that's true. But you know what? It's a challenging conversation. And Shay and Pav, well, I'm running out of time. 1 second. One more thing for April 12th, 2021. I'm talking about episode 81 with the Staff Room Podcast, as Shay and Pav have brought up the topic of reciprocity and giving and receiving of gifts and resources and things like that. And why do we do that? So, Shay and Pav, you know, you get me thinking. And this whole idea of reciprocity, it's an ideal that we need to be mindful of. But I don't think that if we have all these ideals, these are important things and pillars that we need to look to and keep in front of us. But to do it perfectly, we're never going to be perfect servant leaders, because as servant leaders, we're going to get tired and we're going to go, hey, when's it my turn to get something out of this? You know? So I think it's about being reasonable as we think about reciprocity, think about toxic positivity, think about imposter syndrome, and just relax and let ourselves be at times. So that's my pushback, because, you know, I give a lot, but yet sometimes I catch myself grumbling, and I have to stop that. And being appreciative and seeing the good in your day when you're tired, that's really important. Right now, the good in this day is that I get to go out for my walk. I've worked many hours today, done a lot of marking, messaged a lot of students, taught a lot of math and chemistry, and now I get to go for my walk, and it's so good. I'm so thankful. All right, those are my thoughts. Take a listen to episode 81 of the Staff Room Podcast as Shay and Pav bring us conversations that make you think, and I appreciate that so very much. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye. One more thing for April 12, 2021, as I'm nearing the end of my Fresh Air at 5 walk this afternoon. I listened to the Daily STEM podcast with Chris Woods, and he talked on episode 191 with Lori Walmark, and she was a guest back in episode 170s, where she talked about her STEM books for kids and how she's writing books to get kids excited about different aspects of STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, and how, she writes these books that get kids excited about some of these people of history. And the book that she was talking about today, that she just wrote and finished up, is called Codebreaker, Spy Hunter, and it's so nifty to hear about a lady in history that was overlooked because it wasn't her that was given credit for the work that she did during World War I and World War II, but she did learn about different codes and things like that, and how she shared her knowledge of Shakespeare and different parts of the arts to help decipher and do cryptology during World War I and World War II. All right, so that's my thoughts as I wrap up here. It's super exciting. I love codes. I think tomorrow I'm going to find a code and do my opener with codes with my 6 to 8s tomorrow at the beginning of class. Got to go find a code and have them try to figure it out. All right, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye. One last thing for April 12th, 2021. I am just wrapping this up, and I listened to the Knock Knock podcast with Chris Nessie and Miles Nessie as they told us to joke, and it was episode 19. Lena, go take a look. Be curious. Okay, bye-bye. Hey PLN, it's April 13th, 2021, and I'm out here for Fresh Air at 5 this morning, and not gonna lie, it was a struggle to get out of bed, but I'm glad I got out of bed, and I'm out walking right now. So this morning as I'm walking, I listened to the Good News, Brad News show, episode number 14, episode 14. Maybe 50. I don't even know. It'll be in the tweet. And it's the episode where Brad Hughes talks with Hans and Jennifer Apple. And they are not unknown to many of us who are probably listening to this. They're the authors of award-winning Culture. And Jennifer is an author of 2 children's books at this point. And they've got a couple of dogs and are keynote speakers, and they are, culture ambassadors for bringing joy to their school spaces and into their life. And in this episode of the Good News, Brad News show, I hear about how they're vulnerable and how they have shakes in their life like you and I do. And they are, they're prominent educational figures, and yet they are humans just like you and me. Hans and Jen, thanks for sharing your journey. Jennifer, thank you for sharing your journey that you are walking through right now with cancer. And it is something that, until you're there and it's been part of your space, and I haven't had that yet, and I'm not hoping to have that at all, but when it comes into your family space, and my father has had a recent round of treatments for cancer and has recovered at this point, and he is cancer free today, so I'm thankful for that. But she talks about how, Jennifer, you talk about how you have to have an attitude of joy and of optimism and hope, because without that, it doesn't work out. So I thank you for sharing that. Thank you for bringing your joy and your positivity to us today. Thanks, Brad, for having Hans and Jen share their story on the Good News Brad News Show. Okay, bye-bye. One more thing for April 13th, 2021. And this morning I got the privilege of listening to the newest episode of Got Tech, the podcast with Eric and Nick, as they bring us 13, I'd say, categories for classroom creativity. And you know what? If you are short of ideas of how to get kids to create, and you even yourself to create, go check out this podcast. This thing is loaded. And gents, you guys brought the curation magic to us as you shared all these tools that can do some amazing things. And the show notes are rich with links and information for where you can go find more about these different specific tools. And don't go and share this whole list of tools with your students, because it will overwhelm them. So you go dig in yourself and put some stuff in your own tool belt so you can walk into your class and be a more effective practitioner of this thing we call education. You know, things are, well, I can start talking, but you know what? There's so much that I just listened to it in the last 30 minutes as I'm walking, and I don't have a computer in front of me to go back to all of these things. But there's font creation tools, there is picture sources, and that's a big deal as we are looking for copyright-free images and how for students to cite and use good digital citizenship as they create projects. Fantastic. I like the coolers. I'm going to be working with my middle schoolers today talking about color palettes and how we need to use specific colors based on branding and things like that for being able to select colors for a project. All right, gents, thanks so much. And Eric, you and I need to connect. Yes, we've said that now for the better part of 2 months, but let's do it, okay? I'm going to DM you right away, and let's make a connection and get going on talking about Canvas and Spark. Okay, bye-bye. Hey PLN, it's April 14th, 2021, and out here for FreshAirAtFive this morning. The temperature is 7 degrees Celsius, clear skies, and it's going to be a warm one today. Excited about that because spring is finally really springing here. April's been cold. All right, this morning as I start off FreshAirAtFive, I listened to Teach Better Talk with Jeff and Ray, and thanks Jeff and Ray for continuously putting out content for us to learn from educators in this manner of the podcast. And it's been a while since I've listened to the podcast. If you haven't listened to Teach Better Talk, go subscribe. Fantastic, because you get to connect and hear from educators that you know and others that you don't know. This morning's educator that I listened from and learned from was Debbie Tannenbaum, and she recorded with them on this episode came out on April 8th. And Debbie, thanks for sharing your joy for teaching and all that you do. Your new book is coming out. You need to get a copy of your new book. And people, if you don't know about Debbie Tannenbaum, you need to learn about Debbie Tannenbaum and go over to Tannenbaum Tech, and she's got techie notes, and she produces content a lot and works in an elementary environment that has great things going on. So thanks, Debbie. I appreciate you. And it was great to connect a bit ago, at the beginning of this year, on Teachers on Fire Roundtable. Have a great day. Bye. One more thing for April 14, 2021. All right, so you might be wondering what the one more thing is about as I do this on the daily. And I record a segment, which is one more thing that I learned or listened to. And so this is my way of using the Twitter tool to my advantage, because Twitter says, and this is their algorithm rule, that I can only have a 2-minute and 20-second video. So as I'm recording right now this video, I'm watching the timer at the top, and I'm going, okay, I got a minute and 40 seconds left to talk, and I need to get a whole bunch of thoughts in. So this is my way of getting around that. And another thing that I do to connect the one more thing to the previous thing is I press the little plus button on the Twitter app in the bottom, and I post another post that is, I think, threaded to the first first one. So you can kind of follow that thread, but it's my way of getting around being bound and having only 2 minutes and 20 seconds of video time and 240 characters. So this way you can have an additional 240 characters and more video time. All right, so my one more thing for April 14th, 2021 is that I listened to Teach Better Talk, episode 259, as AJ Bianco talks with Jeff and Ray about his passion for education. And AJ, I've heard you many times. You and I have connected. I listen to Reflect Ed. If you don't listen to Reflect Ed, go listen to Reflect Ed. Brilliant podcast that AJ's putting out. And Chris Nessie got him into podcasting. He's also got Podcast PD and the other one about the Yankees that I haven't listened to. So you guys got stuff going on, which is great. But AJ, you know, I appreciate you being part of my PLN and about how you share your passion for learning and joy. And so thanks so much, AJ. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Jeff and Ray, for constantly putting yourselves out there. And don't let yesterday shape what today looks like. AJ's advice. Peace out. Bye. Hey PLN, it's April 15th, 2021, and I'm out here for Fresh Air at 5. And this morning I left the house and forgot to turn the alarm off. And my goodness, I got down the street and my phone goes, "Your alarm's going off." And I'm like, oh no. So I had to rush back and I had to, talk to my wife, who got woken up because the alarm went off. So anyhow, if you're leaving the house for early Fresh Air at 5, don't forget to turn the alarm off. That's just a pro tip for being a dad. Okay, so this morning as I'm out walking, I'm listening to Shooks and Giff, episode 10 of season 4. And you know what? Popped into my queue this morning, and I'm like, I got to listen to Jen Giffen talk about creativity things, because last night I sat in front of my computer and the work that Jen did 2 summers ago. Yes, it was 2 summers ago, Jen, that you and I connected about Doc Appender and Name Those Docs extension or add-on that you made for Google Sheets. And I had to go back and remember and review and dig into that, because today is Demo Slam Day with my students. So I've got my students all going to share a brand new tech tip or tool with the class, and they're going to get up in front of the class and present their learning. Okay, this isn't about that. So I'll get back to that maybe later, and one more thing or something. But this morning on season 4, episode 10 of Shooks and Giff, Stephanie Howell, hi Stephanie, was with Jen and talking about all matter of edu protocols and quick connecting tips that you can use with students. And fantastic. You need some ideas? Oh my goodness, teachers, go listen to this episode, because Stephanie brings all of it, and it's quite fantastic to learn from her and Jen as they talk about ways of engaging. And so the resummoner of podcasts might be me, Jen. I'm the Blinkist and the resummoner. So thanks so much. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye. One more thing for April 15th, 2021. This morning, as I was thinking about Jen Giffen and Shooks and Giff and Stephanie Howell on season 4, episode 10, sharing all of the magic that they have brought. You know, Kim Polishuk, I'm missing hearing your voice, and I know that you're out and about doing all manner of things that Kim needs to take care of, because this podcast is just beyond that right now for you, taking care of your family and your work and the work that you're doing. And I just wanted to say that, Kim, I appreciate the impact that you've had in me in the past, and has our paths crossed at places like Google Summit Vancouver at Mulgrave School that first year, and then the following fall I think I was in Victoria with you, and we crossed paths there as well, and then on the podcast, and just our connection through Twitter here. So this one more thing is about Kim Polishuk, and people, she's amazing. She's part of the Shooks and Giff team and a significant part. And Jen, you know what? what? I bet you're missing her even more now that you're hearing this, because, we are out here. And Kim, thanks for all the work that you've done and bringing educational technology and educational thought to people like me. All right, that's my one more thing. Okay, bye. Hey, PLN, it's April 15th, 2021, later in the day, and I just got back from papers with my daughter and enjoyed my walk out in the beautiful weather. Look back here. That's Mount Baker, Washington, right there from my place. So it's a beautiful day. It's about 26 degrees Celsius here, and spring is in full action here in British Columbia. So we're enjoying the nice warm weather. This afternoon, as I was out, I listened to House of Ed Tech, episode 177, as Chris Nesi brings to us another rich episode. He talks with Nate Nagel about what would he do differently, when they would do differently moving forward in education should the pandemic happen again. And there's lots of great things that we are doing. And I think the biggest thing that I heard would be to have a back channel in your classroom so that we can have students comment and talk and be able to share information with each other and with you as the teacher, so that it just continues the rich conversation. Really appreciate that. That was your Ed Tech thought and what came out of your conversation with Nate Nagel. Big shout out to Chris Nesi, who's the House of Ed Tech VIP. Good buddy. And we appreciate you, Chris, for the work that you do in bringing MV or VIPs to us. And did I say Chris Nessi's the MVP? You're always the MVP, Chris, of your own podcast. Tim Cavey, I can't remember if I said that, is the House of Ed Tech VIP for this episode. And Tim Cavey, a good buddy of mine, has brought content to us and making a difference in education around the world. So thanks, Tim, for that. A big shout out to you. And it's fantastic to be able to listen to podcasts. And Chris, thanks for encouraging me to just press record and to publish. And that has been such a great gift that you have brought to me and given to me this past winter. And if you don't know, I've got FreshAirAtFive on podcatchers, and you can take a catch of that. The next episode's coming out tomorrow night at midnight. It's called What Is Your Code? All right, peace out. Have a fantastic, beautiful day. Bye-bye. One more thing for later on April 15th, 2021. Chris, you are turning 40 soon, and you asked for us that have been on the rock longer or less than you to bring our thoughts and share our thoughts with you. Well, did a calculation, and I've been on this rock as it has traveled through space 47 billion kilometers. That's a lot of kilometers. And so yes, that puts me at being about 50 years old, or just over 50 years old. And the biggest piece of advice that I want to share with you is something that I quipped at with my students and other fellow teachers at my school. There's a poster of me that the district took a picture of me and put it up, for the strategic plan, talking about what the district's about and me being supportive of that as a teacher. And I put a thought bubble or a speech bubble on that with a piece of paper and a Sharpie marker one day. And it says, until you know, you don't know. And when you know, so that's what it says. It says, until you know, you don't know. And it was funny. I just put that up being kind of goofy one day. But looking back, until you know, you don't know. But when you know, you got to do better than you did before. And you got to do something with that. So that is my piece of advice that I want to share. That's rich advice that I would like you to consider. It's so simple. And if you remember the simple pieces of advice, it helps you understand your students better and what they know and don't know and how we need to respond to them as educators and parents and husbands and wives in our spaces as we go. Thanks. Happy birthday, Chris. Happy 40th birthday. Okay, bye. Hi, PLN. It's Friday, April 16th, 2021, and look at the sun and light coming up behind me. That means I didn't get up as early as I did yesterday, and that's okay. I'm still out for FreshAirAtFive this morning, getting some exercise, listening to some podcasts in my ears, and this morning I listened to Define University with Lindsay Titus as she talks with Jamie Fowler White on the podcast. And I can't remember the episode number, but it will be in the show notes for the podcast, as well as on the tweet that goes out today for this video that I'm making. All right, so thank you, Lindsay, for having Jamie on your podcast and talking about her joy of education. And you know, that's one of the theme words for my week this week of the podcast is joy, and the other is creativity. So joy and creativity. And you know, in her working through how she got into education and being in a space where she can work with children, that was a significant learning about herself and her joy of what she likes to do. Headed to be a nurse, she changed directions, and that is kind of similar to my path here, that I was a chemist and I changed directions to be a teacher, and I really enjoy the work that I do as an educator. Jamie is an accomplished writer. She's got an illustrious career of, I think it was 30 years of teaching or something like that, and she stepped out of that, I believe, now. But Jamie, thank you for sharing yourself and your books about reflection tips for teachers. Those are coming out. You wrote 4 books this past year, which is quite amazing as the pandemic slowed us all down, gave us time to do some things possibly that we had put off because we had time. All right. Thank you, Lindsay. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for making a difference in people's lives. This guy here appreciates the work that you do, and it brings me joy to hear and learn about myself to be a better human and to be a better teacher. Happy Friday. Bye. One more thing for April 15th, 2021. This morning, as I was thinking about Jen Giffen and Shuxing Giff and Stephanie Howell on season 4, episode 10, sharing all of the magic that they have brought. Kim Polishuk, I'm missing hearing your voice, and I know that you're out and about doing all manner of things that Kim needs to take care of, because this podcast is just beyond that right now for you, taking care of your family and your work and the work that you're doing. And I just wanted to say that, Kim, I appreciate the impact that you've had in me in the past, and has our paths crossed at places like Google Summit Vancouver at Mulgrave School that first year, and then the following fall I think I was in Victoria with you, and we crossed paths there as well, and then on the podcast, and just our connection through Twitter here. So this one more thing is about Kim Polishuk, and people, she's amazing. She's part of the Shuxing Giff team and a significant part. And Jen, you know what? I bet you're missing her even more now that you're hearing this, because, we are out here. And Kim, thanks for all the work that you've done and bringing educational technology and educational thought to people like me. All right, that's my one more thing. Okay, bye. Thanks for listening to episode 16 of Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. And as I have been out this past week, my focus words for this week's listening, and what I was listening for in my reflections and the podcast that I was listening to, was about joy and creativity. How can we maintain the joy and be creative in our workspaces? Started off early in the week looking at joy from one of our guests. And by the time we finish today, I see the creativity of Bryon Tobel as he talks about a different way of doing education with micro schools and schoolhouse organization. All right, that's it. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Bye. As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Cold Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself because you're worth it.